Now we will learn how to do a simple shuffle animation with the Dized tutorial tool. Now there are many ways to do it. There are ways you can tilt the deck and have the cards slide there, or the cards come from one end. As said, there are a multitude of ways, but I'm gonna show you one that is very simple to do and does the job pretty good. Now, we actually did this exercise already in a seminar, so rather than me doing it all over again, I'm going to cut this off and show you the seminar recording. It was done in the Content Creators Seminar, where we basically created a whole tutorial from scratch. And creating a shuffle animation with the deck was one part of it. So here you go. So first thing we do in this scene, I select the move tool and move the deck to the scene. I'm gonna rotate the camera to a bit nicer angle. I'm gonna do that by pressing Alt, and the eye appears, and then I will rotate and zoom with the mouse wheel until it's a nice little angle. Having everything from straight above or straight from the side isn't as interesting as giving it a little bit of an angle, so I tend to like to use angles like this. I'm gonna center the camera here, so it will have a little bit of space on its sides and bottom for the cards to appear a bit later on. Now the camera controls here, as I mentioned last time, you can save your camera angle with the save tutorial camera, and these ones are the default views that we will also use later, but we don't need right now. So now that I have saved my camera angle with this button, when I save this step and close it, it will automatically return to that. This is also the view that we will have when we use the tutorial. Just a second. Here we go. So first things first. Now I have dragged this deck to the scene, but I need to set it to a correct level. It's very easy to make the mistake of starting adding objects that aren't in the ground level by accident. This means that they will either don't cast any shadows, or the shadows will be casted in the wrong place. So it's very important to keep in mind, especially in the beginning, to set everything in the ground level that should be in the ground level, and every object that is on top of something else is actually in the correct place. So let's snap this object to the ground. You can use Shift plus G, or just this button here on the top left corner. Now you can see that it set it on the ground level. That's perfect for us. The ground level is defined in every object by an anchor point. So, but that's small details that we don't need to look into right now. So let's see. Yep, that is the tutorial view. Now we need cards. Let's put a card here in the scene. So we want to do a shuffle animation first, and we need at least 3 cards to do a small shuffle animation. There are many ways to do shuffle animations, but I'm gonna show you one quick way to do it. I'm gonna drag the object by using the rotate tools and move tools, and then I'm gonna I turned it also upside down. Now this should be put on top of the deck here, and the best way to do that is to use the viewpoints here. When I click the middle button here, it basically takes out the perspective, and it means that putting cards, aligning cards, is much easier using that. That's also the same view we use when we create steps that have buttons in them, so everything is in the right scale or identical scale. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in a bit with the mouse wheel and the move tool, and I had the eye view here, axle view, so it's very easy for me to place this object on top of the deck. So it doesn't clip into it, but it's right there on top of it. Okay, now this button here duplicates the object. When I click it, it creates an instant copy that goes inside the first one. So now I have 2 cards, and then I'm going to copy another one, and that'll be 3 cards. This is what I need to do the shuffle animation. It doesn't matter if there's a pixel between the asset. You can't really tell it, but try to keep it as close as possible, but so that they do not clip into each other. So let's go back into our tutorial view. You can see that the cards are aligned badly since I was using one angle, but they are easy to move. I'll just select them all by using the bounding box and move them to the correct place. There we go. Now let's pick the first card. It's the one on the top. And the button here is our template animation library. We don't have that many yet, but you can already use these. These are pretty... this will make your life a bit simpler when you need to do a card flip or a shuffle or rotate something or do a scale, quick scaling. This will help you out. So I'm gonna open up the timeline editor here. I have this object selected, and I'm gonna give it a card shuffle animation. This is a very simple animation that will drag the card and do a loop around. And then I'm gonna give it a loop after all animations. Tap here. So eventually that will keep looping nicely. I will do the same for this object, but one way to do it is to give it another one of these card shuffles, but another way to do it is to use the copy animation button here. When I click it, it copies this animation. I select an object, I paste and replace the animation, and it creates the exact same animation. Now I do not want the cards to start shuffling. Oh, actually that went to the wrong place. Let's fix that. It's also good to make mistakes so you can see how they're fixed. I'm gonna set it in the right place and remove all animations. There we go. Now I'm gonna paste and replace the animation when the initial card is in its beginning spot. So now you can see that the 2 cards are moving at the same time. I want to give the other card a little bit of breather so it doesn't start going immediately. That's the way I want to do it. And I will give it a loop after all animations as well. Now I want to copy this animation and take the 3rd card and give that paste the animation there as well. Drag it a bit and give it a loop, and now you can see animation like this. Now I don't want it to loop immediately since it looks a bit funny. One way to do it is to create an empty segment to one of the objects. Now since I chose the loop after all animations option to all the cards, the timeline will go to the last very frame that I have added here in one of the timelines, and after this all objects are going to loop. So when I save this, you should see the end result. There we go. Let's use the preview here, and this could be our shuffle the cards. Now it loops from here. Perfect. This is exactly what we wanted to do. Let's save and close. And see the end result here.
Now shuffle the deck.
That's perfect. It doesn't matter that the cards don't actually go inside the deck and stuff like that. You could do that. It takes a bit more time. I'm just showing, highlighting different techniques in this seminar. So this is one way to do it, and that suits our purposes very well. And that is it. That is how to create a shuffle animation pretty quickly. And remember, you can use this animation in other steps as well. So if you need another shuffle animation later on, remember to copy the animation and the assets to another step so you can reuse it later on.